QR code that would basically be under the sink of every rental property managed by 414. And if you have a maintenance issue or request,
you can log it with Tarpy via your phone, and that goes straight into our system.
Going once, going twice, sold. You're listening to the Property Pod.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Property Pod, your weekly engagement into real estate here in the Hobart Marketplace. I'm your host, Darren Horn, and my fingers are away from the buttons. I'm trying something new today. I'm trying something actually that's pretty close to what we were talking about recently with AI tools helping our jobs out. So I can just throw to these boys without having to think about it. Patrick Berry, John McGregor, welcome back to the podcast.
Oh, boy, am I excited to be here.
I can tell, mate. I can tell. It's good to have you back. We missed you last week. Or no, we didn't even get to record last week. We missed the show altogether. And it was basically because you're the backbone, my friend.
Oh, well, I'll take it.
You'll take it. Tell us where you've been, what you've been doing, and what's been happening out there in the world of Patrick Berry.
Oh, I've been living it up in the Philippines for the last 10 days. So,
oh, la la.
Yeah, it's hot weather, 40-degree days, sweating bullets, but just over there doing some work with our offshore team. Yeah,
so pre jumping on, we were talking about the coffees over there and your Starbucks orders and what that turned into. But, yeah, explain kind of the offshore team and what you went over to do.
Sure. So we have 4 members that work for us at 414, but they work out of the Philippines.
Yep.
They do a lot of our admin stuff. So 2 in our marketing team, which you work directly with.
Indeed.
Queen.
Yep, superstars.
Then we have Daryl and Renz that work in our property management department doing a lot of their maintenance and admin work.
Are we allowed to drop the info on kind of the new role that Renz is taking over? So can you tell us about kind of the main reason Abby was heading over for?
Sure. So the main reason we went over was that about 3 weeks ago, we launched our own maintenance company, 414 Maintenance. So we have a maintenance team here on the ground in Hobart now, and all of their bookings, admin, accounting and everything will be run out of our offshore team with Renz.
Yep. Yeah. And so the purpose of creating the maintenance team is to
really just to, I guess, streamline our property management department and try to help them when we have like handyman jobs, which can be anything from like fixing a door that's not quite closing, changing a toilet seat, regrouting a shower bay. Like they're quite easy tasks, but we need somebody to go do them.
Yeah.
It's like a jack of all trades. Instead of like a plumber who specializes in plumbing and electrician, I guess a handyman is best described as somebody that can do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
And that's 80% of the maintenance too.
Yeah.
Like it's just, but then the second it switches across to specialised, which requires that next level of insurance protection.
Yeah, that's when we change out.
Re-engage. Because I know even, because otherwise, even the handyman are generally speaking the hardest consistent maintenance person to
engage in, because it's like I've got to be able to work or get enough crust for doing this quite easy task. Oh, it's going to cost me this much to come out and do the job and to quote it and work it all out.
So there's a couple of pain points we've discovered over the last couple of years. When we're working with handymen, they do work for all the agencies in Hobart. They don't just exclusively to us. So that means it can be hard to get them to attend jobs that we need them to work on.
Yep.
Because, they're trying to appease the other agencies in Hobart as well because they want to keep their hands in all the pots. The second issue we came across as well is handymen tend to work for themselves, so they're self-employed. But then that also means that, buying materials to fix jobs and things like that can put a lot of strain on them from a capital perspective.
Sure.
Having enough money to be able to go buy all the supplies from Bunnings to fix the job because we can't pay them until
the job's done. Yep.
And sometimes with property management as well, we can't pay them until the bond is released, which if it's a bond claim can take anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, depending on if there's a dispute. And so some handymen are required, and we make this very clear to them before they do a job for us, that they could be required to wait anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks to
get their payment through.
So that we've found over the years caused a lot of issues with some of the handymen we're working with. They get to a point where they can't hold any more material costs and labour costs.
Yep. So they're kind of like, I'm not as keen to take on that job.
Yeah. So we started looking at it and we were really struggling over the last 12 months to get people to properties to do the work. And maintenance jobs are staying open for a lot longer, which is getting owners upset or stressed because the work wasn't being fixed. And so, we made the decision to try bring it all in-house.
Yep.
Have a full-time staff member on payroll for us. It means that we can actually sell the rate at a cheaper rate than what we were getting quoted from outside suppliers because our main goal is to break even, not to make a profit.
Essentially,
it's an upsell service is what we're offering.
Yeah.
And then obviously being our own in-house department, we've got the capital to hold the materials. We can we can pay for that and reimburse later when the time comes. So,
and get the job done.
yeah, so the decision was made. We now have the handyman and we have 2 gardeners that form part of 414 maintenance.
What a team! Look
Yeah,
at that.
so-
Started from the bottom. Now they're here. Triple trouble.
Yeah, so now the goal was to head to the Philippines to teach our admin team how do we get it to
How to implement the actual.
Because the last thing we noticed is with handymen, they love going out to do the job, but they really struggle with the idea of having to book it in with the tenants or invoices after the job is done. So,
Oh yeah, you're a handyman. You're handy with the tools, not with the pen.
so the bookwork and the booking seems to be the part was always the letdown as well. So that's why we've got our offshore team handling all of that. So our maintenance person here on the ground, all he does is open up his app on his phone of the morning and it says he's going to 1 Smith Street at 8:30 a.m.
So this is another cool bit I wanted to bring up. So this is running through, is it the Tarpy system?
So yeah, we use Tarpy, which is our. So this is where probably the most confusing part that we've had in this whole process is that now we almost have to wear 2 hats. We have our property management's hat, and then for Renz especially, he then also has to take that off at a certain point and put on his maintenance hat.
Okay.
Because we're using 2 different platforms. And then we're responding to clients in 2 different
Okay, so
ways.
trying to cross
So you're
cross the streams like Ghostbusters.
Tarpy is is the software that we use for property management, and we've actually been rolling out to all our properties now. So most of our tenants have a barcode now stuck under their sink.
Yes, so this is what I wanted to get to. So there's a QR code that would basically be under the sink of every rental property managed by 414, and if you have a maintenance issue or request,
you can log it with Tarpy via your phone. And that goes straight into our system. Our girls can then allocate it. Is it plumbing? Is it electrical? Is it whatever it may be? Is it handyman? And then that goes, if it's handyman, it goes off to Renz, who works in our offshore team.
Sure.
Who will then book that job in with the tenant on behalf of our maintenance team here in Hobart.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a bit of a roundabout circle, and it's taken a bit of time to nut that out. And that's one of the reasons why we couldn't do it remotely. We had to sit side by side, and use whiteboards to show to Renz how it maps out.
Yep. Problem shoot through those problems that way.
At what point are you responding to a client as 414 maintenance versus responding to a client as 414 rentals, because they are separate businesses under the same umbrella.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it was a really good exercise, and we achieved what we needed to achieve.
I heard that Abby was and Renz were absolutely exhausted at the end of the day. Like you got to the end of the day, you're like, oh, we're in paradise.
So I was actually quite confident that Queen, who works with you might be interested in moving across to run the maintenance department.
Yep.
3 days in, I was like, so Queen, how would you feel about potentially? And like, it was a look of horror. I've just seen what these 2 have gone through for the last 3 days. There is no way I'm touching this.
No chance.
I'm happy doing what I'm doing and just leave me out of it.
Well, don't mess with Queen. She's mine, and we're in a good spot. We've been doing heaps of that digital furniture of late, and she's killing it. She's we could call her a digital stylist.
Digital stylist, I think that probably fits in pretty well.
That fits pretty well for her, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a good time to be over there. And then just towards the end, we were lucky enough we had 1 spare day where we were able to spend it with the team and go do a bit of a bonding exercise. And yeah, it's just nice to hang out.
And a bit of bonding while you were there as well. You caught up with some other members of the leading real estate.
Yes, we did.
What's it called again? Sorry, John will know it.
Agencies of the world.
There you go.
We got a big plaque on the wall out front because we are one of the only members in Australia. I think there's only 3, is there,
There's
John?
not many at all.
3 or 4 of us in Australia.
The only one in Tasmania as well.
Yeah. So got to meet up with Jules, who was she's the Southeast Asia director or branch something. Yeah, big giant title.
Anywho, you got to meet up with somebody in the network and catch up with them, and you had a blast.
Yeah, it was good fun. Got to trade ideas, talk about, because they were a little bit blown away that we had team in the Philippines. They were just getting their head around it. They knew the offshore world existed in the Philippines, but they hadn't actually thought about how people might use it in the real estate space.
And the reach of, you're a small island in Tasmania. Yeah.
It's
a completely different world, and you're over there doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good to chat to them about that and how our team function with us and how we communicate with each other. And it was
I heard they enjoyed a drink just as much as you do.
Oh, I now know why Chris McGregor joined, because I know Chris loves a drink, and that's got to be the reason why. These people.
The networking is strong.
A little too strong for my liking, to be honest. The one night I went out with them, I think I stopped counting about 13 or 14 beers.
Wowzers.
And I'm not sure what we were talking about towards the end, but I'm sure sure it was gold.
It would have been, real estate gold. You definitely knocked that on the head.
I think Dad was excited that you got to experience the first taste of what that's like, because then even with FIABC and the leading real estates, it's all across the world, and everyone that we've ever met is very gracious with their time, their houses and everything when you go and visit them.
I have to admit, we met up with one of the agents who works in Manila, which is where we were heading for the weekend, because we were there for the first week and then we had 2 days in Manila, then we were heading back to work for the next part. Yeah. So, and he was like, oh, you'll never get transport to Manila on the weekend. It's too hectic. The Basketball World Cup draw was on as well, so there was lots of people in town. He's like, I'll just hire a driver all weekend for you. I'll just get a driver for you. I'm like, it's all good. Don't stress. We got this. We're under control. Nope. You need a driver. I'll get my driver to come pick you up and take you around. Like that level of we'll do anything for you was strong.
They're just like, hey, here visiting us. We're grateful for it. Let us help. Let us work you into our country.
Yeah. Well, and like
at that stage, I think they'd had too many beers because the phone call never came in.
You should have booked it.
A 3 a.m. promise.
Reached out, but I was like, no, I'm pretty good to get myself around a city.
Oh, look, it's surreal. And when I haven't been able to do it personally, but I saw in Australia I have, obviously, but internationally, well, no, that's not true. So even when I went to Luxembourg, we spent time with one of the families, and they put me up for 4 days. Now, some of these players has got some serious money. So this house had it was 4 stories. It had an elevator in it. It was next level kind of thing, and that was really nice because I'd been staying in nothing but hostels, and I was going into one of the nicest houses in Luxembourg.
I got that feeling as well that there are some very well off real estate agents out there. Like the guy I met, he had his own driver. I think he had 2 nannies for his kids. So. Yeah, he was living life pretty well in the Philippines.
Yeah, exactly. What other real estate agents and how they operate their businesses internationally as well is kind of cool.
No, it was very interesting because obviously in the Philippines he focuses more on commercial, and commercial is the big player in that space. Like residential real estate's not really a thing. It sort of just gets handed down through generations of family.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
So there is residential sales, but from what I could gather, it's not as strong as what it is here in Australia, where we focus more on residential than we do on commercial.
That makes sense.
So he was more in that commercial space and renting and selling commercial properties.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
But no, it was really good and interesting. And that was the other thing I noticed as well when I was there is most of the stuff that is selling is being sold by the developer, not by real estate agencies. So they got full size pop-up shops selling
big condominiums.
Big condominium complexes. So they're selling little mini villages is what they're currently building, like high-rise villages.
Yeah,
which
for
I think
sure.
is what Queen used to do before she worked for us.
I believe that was, some of the stuff that we looked into earlier. So
real estate's slightly different to to how we see it here. It's not as transactional from a residential space as what it is here.
Yeah, I think there's also an extra layer of protection on who can and cannot buy land in the Philippines as well. So as internationals, I think it's a little bit easier for us to buy, a unit in a condo or something
rather than purchasing land.
But again, I'm still confident there's another link through there as well. So it's just another layer of complexity. But I do love the way in those developments how they build up those 3D models. Because we were at the airport, I think, coming through, and I just stopped and chatted to a lady who was selling it. Took the book with me. I was just there for the experience.
Yeah.
But then, of course, they had the full map, and so you're, walking over the development. You're like, oh, that's going to be your unit right there. Pointing to the.
Well, the one I went into, which was in Mall of Asia, which biggest shopping center I've ever been into in my life.
Did you get lost?
Oh yeah. All I wanted to do, Aaron, was find this stupid Nike store. I think it took Abby and I about an hour and a half. I've already been past this shop. Where the hell is it?
I can't do it.
I was driving us mental, but we found this development project complex, and as soon as the Westerner walks past, they are quick to jump out of the store and chase after you. But the model was there, but behind it was a full-size kitchen of the exact kitchen, and they'd literally built the inside of the.
Oh, so like you've got the tiles that sit in the other room over here to say these are the tiles that maybe could go on your development.
The entire inside apartment inside the shopping centre, so you could literally walk through the apartment.
Far out.
See, when John was telling his story, I was just picturing the Zoolander where he's got the little model, and he's like, "What is this? A school for ants?" But you're saying that they've taken
3 times this big.
And Pat said they have made it 3 times as big, and you can walk in it.
But John's right. They then like to take you over to the model and be like, with the little laser point, and be like, "This is where, we could sell you this one."
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
I know, it's fine. but there's still something that makes me nervous about buying off a model. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
You're a bricks and mortar man.
There's no reason for it. There's an illogical fear.
2 weeks later in the mail, out comes John's little model.
Yeah.
I fucking knew I was buying a model.
It's like when you buy from Wish and you think you're getting a big chair, but it's just this tiny little thing. No, well, speaking of models and plans and stuff, one thing I wanted to throw in today was, did you see this Star Wars mod or plans for this Star Wars house in Victoria?
Oh,
Not yet. It was an application for one, is it?
Yeah, and they've been approved.
Yeah.
Pat will bring them up and I'll try and put them in the video. But essentially, it's like a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
And so the land was purchased and it's like deserty plains and made to look like a space planet, and that's why he liked the idea of it. But they've made full plans for what looks like a Star Cruiser from Star Wars. It's not made. It was made to...
Is that what that photo was? I didn't look into it more.
Yeah.
Now that makes perfect sense.
So, yeah, the idea for this is that the guys got the plans drawn up, they're approved, they're ready to go on this land. The sale was going live on the 4th of May, so may the 4th be with you. So strike while the iron's hot. So I think...
So you'd buy the Project Star Wars house?
Yeah. So it seems so strange that it's kind of a it's a really niche market where it's
That's
like,
amazing, though.
I've got plans to build a Star Wars house. I'm not going to do it. Do you want to do it?
Do you want to do it?
yeah.
Because you can.
God, can you
I
imagine?
really thought I could sell my Wi-Fi, but it's out.
Far out. Can you imagine the budget on that? It'd be intense.
So, yeah, it just seems so unique. And then to be like, this is your idea. I was like, are they taking the mickey? But as the further you look into it, yeah, the guy's gone and got approval. Those big booster things at the back there, like water, like tanks to like maintain the water.
Yeah.
So either you're making the most unique Airbnb or a fan film? Don't know. Interesting.
Well, see, this is why, it would be amazing just to have so much money. You could let's just do that. Let's see where this goes, That's why I don't have
But
money.
looking into plans, like it still wouldn't be cheap to get a draftsman or someone to...
And to spec it out so that it looks like one, feels like one, but still covers off all the requirements.
All the rules, yeah.
Yeah. That's where they've used, with the photos, the back end of the tanks to look like the jet engines.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh. I've thrown him.
Oh gosh, man! I hope someone does that. Amazing.
Well, we'll keep up with the story and we'll watch this space. The other thing that is in development at the moment and a big development for Tassie, last thing I wanted to cover off on was footy. AFL team announced 19th. Gil was in the state last week. Very, very big news that AFL licence has been approved here for Tassie. Hopefully we'll get the Devils moniker from Warner Brothers. I believe they've said that that's something that could happen. But other than that, there's been some names thrown around, the Tassie Turbo Chooks or the Tassie Apples.
I'm 100% the Turbo Chooks.
The crazy bit is like with the Jack Jumpers, but when that was announced, I was like, that's the most ridiculous name ever. Turbo Chooks could work.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm out there. It could work.
Yeah. The thing is, I'd be proud to be a Turbo Chook because those damn things can run.
Yeah.
You try to tackle one of those bad boys, it's not going to happen.
Someone was like, if you call it the Turbo Chooks, then the stadium could be like the hen house.
Don't mind that.
Somewhere online.
Don't mind that at all. So yes, the stadium is going to be built, or that is the federal government are chucking in money to make sure that that's made, which was the final hurdle in getting the thing announced. So we're having a footy team. What's it mean for Hobart and Tasmania, gentlemen?
Well, it's got to be an upward thing.
You would hope so.
I would have thought that having, as silly as it sounds, an AFL team shouldn't create opportunity. Like it's just a sporting team. But I think it does. I think, for starters, we're going to be attracting mainland players to the state.
Yep.
But the big difference, in my opinion, as well, is not just players that will have to relocate to fill the team, but also the fact that when we've had the North Melbourne and Hawthorn licenses that they come in for 4 games each a year, we're only getting the B-grade teams or the lower non-sellout games that – so it's the team, like the games that we get are the ones they know are not going to sell out in Melbourne.
I like West Coast. They seem to play here a lot.
They do. And next weekend, I think they play as well here. And fair enough, because no one's going to that game.
No way, Jose.
But like, if you think like your Collingwoods, your Essendons, your Richmonds all having to play games here in Hobart, not only would that be amazing to fill that, because people are saying you're never going to fill out that stadium of 23,000. We only get, I think it's 7 to North Melbourne.
Yeah.
But it's a team that's underperforming and playing teams that normally are underperforming.
And there's the very few loyal
Yeah.
fan base here.
You bring in those A-grade teams to the state and you're going to have tourism coming in from people flying down to watch that game.
Yep.
Just like we go to Melbourne to watch footy, people will come to Hobart to watch
To
footy.
see the games down
Plus,
here.
you're going to have all the locals going as well because we're finally seeing top quality football.
So it's really interesting. In the last week and a half since they've announced it, I've been kind of just asking friends kind of, are you going to switch? Are you going to stick with your team? And they're like, oh, no, look, I wouldn't switch, but I'll get a membership straight up. Like I'll get a foundation membership, and they'll be my other team, which I think will be a big part of kind of our age bracket and people who are already, but
It's the younger kids.
it's the younger kids.
Look
Exactly.
You just got to look at Hawthorn since Tasmania sponsored them. How many younger kids support Hawthorn?
Yep.
It's not an official Tassie team, but there's so many of the younger demographic that support the Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Football
And
as a
once you
result.
start capturing those younger ones, I know then I would be taking the kids along and going along and saying, let's go see the Tassie. I think it's going to be a really big thing for bringing community together. And the Jack Jumpers has been a really good case study for it's sold out. People are really trying to make sure that they can get to the games.
Yeah.
If they can follow that model and get in right now and get people excited and maintain that excitement for 2028, huge.
It would be interesting then because then they'd have to have a natural flow-on effects to all the leagues down the road that brings through the talent.
Yes.
For all the excitement to actually re-engage in footy, that you've actually got a visual means.
Basketball, I think, since Jack Jumpers started, is the largest sporting code in the state at the moment.
Yeah, and they don't have enough.
Were they 100 courts short or something at the moment?
Wow.
Tassie-wide for the amount of people that want to play
What a
basketball? I think that's what that guy at the sports stadium told us.
It's
recently.
basically, they don't have courts to facilitate. And even someone I was talking to the other day they were playing their community league, Division 12 at Claremont College, and they got booted off the court one time when the New Zealand Breakers had to come and train there when they got stuck here for COVID.
No way.
It's they're going to Claremont College, this professional sports team are training there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I suppose the other thing too is that we're going to, for the entertainment industry, get some arena acts at this point.
Yes. So, and that's the other part of the stadium. They're saying, your big acts can kind of come down here and it's affordable for them to do that. So all the positives around that side, I guess from the housing side of things and from our state, I did a fun thing. We were talking about AI the other day in our
Don't give away
episode.
our secrets.
No,
By
actually,
this point, everyone's tuned out, so we don't have to worry. Is that what you're on?
well, this is the fun bit. I literally was on the way. I had to take one of my kids to the doctors, and the announcement was on the radio, and I was like, oh, yeah. Open ChatGPT. I'm like, all right, ChatGPT, act as a journalist and write me an article explaining what are the benefits of the team, AFL team coming to Tasmania. Popped out this output, and I was like, it's not too bad. I might tweak it just a little bit. So I was like, can you please refer to this, and this, a few little facts. Popped a bit more. Within 40 minutes, I'd sat in the car, tweaked it enough on my phone that I could then come back and I'd send it to Pat. I'm like, what do you reckon about this? He's like, yeah, hits all the info that we kind of would say. It'll help boost everything around the stadium, bring jobs to the state, Tassie, tourism will go gangbusters. So it's hitting all these things.
And that's it. The more tourism that goes gangbusters as a result of the team, the more restaurants that are full, the more money that is flowing as a general whole, only returns in people being able to buy homes and afford property. So there's no way that it can't be a good return.
No. So I'm super excited about it. That's my little inside football trick there. If anyone's read that blog, which I also wanted to put out as a bit clickbaity. It's a very clickbaity kind of topic. There's lots of debate on whether a stadium is a good idea or whether it should be going into other areas.
Absolutely.
I got a few clicks on my bait. I dangled my little lure out there and people responded in the way I thought they would. I actually thought I'd get more from it. So maybe, maybe I need to really ramp it up. But look, the future of Tassie looks bright. It looks bright for our kids. So
that's all going ahead in leaps and bounds.
I think it's a thought where one of the biggest things I find about Tassie is if you can't leave, you're trapped. Whereas I suppose interstate you can move across different state lines, etc. But if you're in Tassie, it's almost restrictive in the sense that it is a small state and it is waterlocked, so it's harder to get out. At least if there's points of reference where you can look to and say, hey, there are amazing opportunities still available in the state that can take you places.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, these kind of things are an incredible way to do that, I think.
Well, I woke up the following day. I said, honey, Jack and Henry, they could play for Tassie. They could play Tassie in the AFL. So you never know.
They could.
never know.
I'm in with that.
Yeah.
I'm in with that.
You never know. All right. Well, you never know what's going to happen on the Property Pod. Hopefully,
Neither do we.
it's very dangerous. I don't think all my technical plans worked for today. I had a bit of a break in the middle, but we'll see how the AI edits it for me. Man, I'm going to be just sitting at home having AI do everything for me by the end of the year.
He's making his job redundant the more.
I know. I was going to turn into that guy from Wall-E that just sits there in his chair and has everything done for him.
You just get more done.
Exactly. All right, guys. Thank you. We'll be back next week. Maybe we'll talk about federal budget if we're brave enough. Only time will tell. Thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things.
See you later, guys.
Bye. You have been listening to The Property Pod, recorded and edited by 414 Media House in conjunction with 414 Property Co.
This podcast is general information only, and the thoughts and views expressed is the opinion of our panel, and listeners should always seek then use their own investigation into any topic we discuss to ensure they fully understand their own situation.
It does not constitute and should not be relied on as purchasing, selling, financial or investment advice or recommendations, express or implied, and it should not be used as an invitation to take up any agent or investment services. No investment decision or activity should be undertaken on the basis of this information without first seeking qualified and professional advice.